how's it going? Welcome to SMG Viewers Comments, episode number 237. We're already through NAMM and getting on into the meat of the new year. Anyway, let's get right to it.
Hi Glenn, in the last rehearsal my bandmates and I discussed about the importance of playing every possible gig, and my guitar player came to the conclusion that gigs are not important any longer, at least not every small town pub gig where only 5 to 10 people tops are coming to our show. He thinks that it is more important to get onto the mobile phone screens. I am in doubt now whether or not playing gigs at all, although I don't concur with his opinion. The sense of a band is to play. Does people only stay at home unless it's a famous band like Metallica? Greetings from Northern Germany, and fuck you, Glenn.
Hey, Yanni, I think your guitar player touched on something very important. You know, I've had this discussion with Sarah Longfield not too long ago, where she's out on tour and, you know, you're not seeing a whole bunch of people show up to the gigs. So for smaller bands, that, you know what, there might be something to that. The truth is, when you take a look around at the people you're trying to reach, are they going to clubs? No, they're doing this. They've got their nose in this. So this is probably where your band wants to be, at least at the onset. Now, playing every gig imaginable will make your band better. It will make your band tighter. It will improve your performance. And there is that, and that's extremely important. So if anybody does actually notice you, you will be able to pull it off live. That's a huge thing. You do need time to be bad before you can be good. So let's say you have a big video hit on one of these and people suddenly want to see your band. So if you haven't practiced your live show, if your live act is not up to snuff, you will suck live. And that is going to be an absolute disaster. So while your guitar player is right, he's also ignoring the larger picture. My suggestion, get on this screen, but play every gig you can as well. It's only gonna make you better.
Hey Glenn, I agree with you on the whole sample replacement topic, and I personally find it quite hypocritical from prog or technical bands who are supposed to be virtuoso players, replacing themselves with samples and all the dirty tricks in the book to sound better than they actually are.
That's what I've been ranting and raving about on here for the last 5 years. It's like, somebody asked me, well, what do you think about prog? And I'm like, well, I'd like to see some progress being made. I think that would be amazing. Again, it all comes down to digital fuckery and just how much you're willing to accept. There was a big thing a couple weeks back about fake guitar players on Instagram, and you know, some other YouTubers might have gotten themselves in a little bit of trouble by calling out the wrong musicians. And that's the point we're at in this game. And this is probably going to be the thesis for a much longer video, which is going to be, why is fake guitar playing taboo all of a sudden? Everybody's okay with fake drumming and everybody's okay with fake singing, so why should fake guitar playing be any different? But it all comes back to what I said years ago, and that's the fans deserve better than what they're getting right now.
You used to recommend the Samson Capsule Select as a good mic for beginners, but it seems Samson's discontinued them and none are available on the used market. Do you have any recommendations for a mic with that kind of versatility/value?
Personal, one of my favorite cheaper mics is the Lewitt 440DM. It is $99. It's great on snare, it's great on guitar, it's great on a whole bunch of things, even voice. It's not specific for voice. That was the great thing about the Samson CS. It kind of had an interchangeable capsule. That being said, I think Behringer's got some new ones coming out I really want to take a look at as well this year. Definitely bang for the buck. I think they've got a hypercardioid Beta 57 ripoff that they're putting out for dirt cheap. Definitely going to be worth investigating. Stay tuned for that episode.
Despite your specialization and mastery of metal, here's a question you may find interesting. I have a stock 1990 PRS VC custom that I like very much. How do I get a guitar tone that blends the characteristics of late period live Jimi Hendrix, mid-70s era Carlos Santana, and Brian May? I don't play metal, but I never fail to learn something new from all your videos, and thanks for the great work and being an excellent teacher.
Wow, talk about mission fucking impossible. How do I sound like Jimi Hendrix, Brian May, and who else did you want? Carlos Santana. Yeah, good fucking luck. Those are 3 very different tones. Here's the thing, I've never heard anybody sound like Brian May other than Brian May. He's got a very special rig. Like he's a Vox AC30 and that Frankenstein guitar he built with the Red Special. Very unique guitar. Go get one of those, get a Vox. Maybe you'll sound something like him, but you also got to match the mic, the preamps, and all the other stuff that goes in the signal chain. Live era Hendrix, I mean, you know, you're just asking for the moon at this point. Maybe invest in an Axe-FX or better yet, a Kemper profiler and see if you can find any profiles that will get you in the ballpark. That might be a really good place to start, to be honest with you. Now it's time for
But the high-pitched comment format thing is literally just a copy of Adam Neely's format, which is how everyone else does it.
Who do you think Adam Neely got the idea from? Go look at when Adam started posting videos with sped up comments and when I started posting comments with sped up comments. You mean Adam Neely's not as original as I thought he was? All right, everybody, this episode is brought to you by 70,000 Tons of Metal. I just got back from that. It was 4.5 days of absolute freaking mayhem. Had just an amazing time. The bands were great. The crowd was great. The people were great. It was so much fun. You know, got to have dinner with some really cool people, got to have breakfast with some really cool people. The great thing is a lot of the bands just hang out with the people, which is amazing. And it's just this whole insane community and just an amazing experience. And you can go to like 70, 80 shows or something insane like that if you want. And once things got going, it really took off. I mean, like, I became a fan of a few bands just by checking out their live show. Like, I've never checked out Winter Sun before, and they were fucking stellar. I knew of Epica and didn't listen to them too much. Saw them live. Holy fuck, I am a fan. Simone Simmons, what a fucking amazing voice. Got to check out At the Gates. Got to check out Emperor. You know, went to see Devin Townsend twice. Holy shit, what a performer. I know I said something there a couple weeks ago about, you know, maybe Devin should turn off the backing tracks. And his backing tracks actually failed on him on the second night when he was outside because it was so fucking windy. And I gotta say, wow, did those guys ever do an amazing show. Devin, buddy, you really gotta think about maybe ditching the backing tracks because you guys absolutely fucking killed it without them. Seriously, one of the best shows I've ever seen. Great job, guys. That was just fucking stellar. Anyway, had an amazing time. Tickets are going to go on sale sometime. I'm not sure when. As soon as I get some information, I'm going to let you guys know. But if you want to go to probably the most amazing concert experience of your life, check out 70,000 Tons of Metal. There is absolutely nothing like it. And it is just an amazing time to be had. Highly, highly, highly recommended.
Sure, sampler or replacement sucks, but what about augmenting your recordings with samples?
How about no, Scott?
I find the power of samples is being able to add something that doesn't exist in your own recording. You can't create something that's not there in the first place. EQ compression will only go so far. Also, even if you did sample replace everything, as long as you don't quantize the performance of the drummer's identity, it's still in there.
Whoa, clear the streets. The bullshit truck is driving through. Fucking hilarious, man. That's amazing. I wonder if you're actually able to say that out loud with a straight face. Oh, come on. Sample augmentation. You can't create something that isn't there in the first place. I don't know. Get a better source. Get the drummer to stop hitting like a fucking wimp. Tune the drums. Place the mic correctly, perhaps. Did any of this fucking occur to you? And I love the bit here. If you did sample replace everything, as long as you didn't quantize the performance, the drummer's identity is still in there. No, it's not. Why? Because somebody else who knows how to make way better recordings than you made those samples at a different studio with a better drummer. When you put another drummer on top of your drummer's performance, guess what? Your drummer goes bye-bye. He's no longer on your fucking record. Does this compute? Is this getting through? Stop lying to yourself and learn how to record drums correctly.
Hi Glenn, so a little off topic, but I'm dying to ask you, why can I not just master my tracks in the master bus? Why can't I just use plugins on the master bus and hear everything that way instead of render down all the tracks to a single stereo track and mastering that? I see everyone mixing the track and rendering it and the mastering a re-rendered track. I've been mastering with this just a master bus to get my results pretty good and greatly reduces wasted time. Should I have to go back and fix a track? Love the show and greetings from Angus, Ontario.
John, what you're talking about is a technique called top-down mastering. I've been doing that on all of my records since I did the Final Stage Game Over record in 2010. Of course, like a lot of other techniques, we stole the idea from Andy Sneap, who's fucking amazing at that sort of thing. Yeah, I put like an SSL bus compressor on my master bus and probably an L3 or a Slate FGX, but these days more than not an L3. And just do it that way so I can hear the mix through the master so I don't run into any weird surprises. And it's been working out great. If you want more information on that, check out my upcoming lesson, Mixing Metal with Waves. I don't know if it's going to be out by the time this episode airs. Probably not. Still got to be edited. But there's going to be a lot of cool shit in there about top-down mastering. And it's definitely worth taking a look at.
Hey Glenn, I was shopping around for a very large mixing job, over 20 songs for a musical, to studios, and I had one engineer who refused to give me a quote without telling him, without all the other engineers quoting me. Is that a standard thing, or is he just trying to rip me off? Thanks, and fuck you, Glenn.
Well, I think that's his job to figure that out. And if he's asking that question and won't give you a quote otherwise, go to somebody else. Don't do the man's job for him. That should tell you everything you need to know about working with this guy. He's going to do the laziest thing possible. And do you really want that on your project?
Can your next product be the SMG STD, Spectre transmission device? World-class, crystal clear wireless transmitter with range and hi-fi, no time loss. I have always desired this.
I don't know if I'm ever going to do a wireless unit. That might be pushing it a lot, although the name is hilarious. I don't know how well that would sell. Needless to say, great things are afoot at the Circle K. All you gotta do is stay tuned. And until that point, make sure you grab an SMG cockblocker noise gate.
Here's a question. Why are people afraid to commit to the sound in recording? Messing around with plugins to no end versus dialing it in the sound and sticking with it.
It's hilarious. You know, back in the 80s and 90s, we used to wish, I wish I had more options. I wish I had more options. Now that we've got the options, we realize that, recording in the 80s and 90s was actually a pretty good idea because it forced us to make choices and kind of sped up the whole process. The problem with having endless options is you have endless options and it becomes really difficult to finally decide on something. I've definitely gone down that rabbit hole when it comes to reamping guitars where I've changed things on a record 10 or even 20 times and keep changing my mind until finally I'm just like, okay, fuck it. So remember, great mixes are never finished, they are only abandoned.
All right, first time drum recording. Helps immensely if you have an extra friend who has a clue about mic placement to move drum mics while the drummer plays so you can monitor tones and set levels. So much easier.
Oh, I would definitely recommend having an extra set of hands around for your first 20 or 30 or even 50 drum recordings until you really learn the ins and outs and figure out where to put the mics and what works and what doesn't. Just having someone around to bounce ideas off even can help immensely too. Although you can also wind up in shouting matches when the person doesn't get their way. I've certainly had that happen to me on more than one occasion. So best of luck to you, dude. Don't be afraid to break some new ground. Your first drum recordings aren't going to be that great. The trick is stick to it, keep at it, and you will get better.
Hey Glenn, I was curious as to what exactly mastering was and how to do it. Are there any must-have plugins? Cheers from the US.
Mastering in the simplest form is basically making sure the volume level from song to song across a record is the same. That's essentially it. You add the heads and tails, the intros, the outros, the fades, that kind of crap, and make sure things kind of sound similar from song to song, have the same kind of EQ curve. That's all there is to it, really, but it can take a lifetime to master that kind of shit, no pun intended. The best mastering engineers are worth their weight in gold. I've worked at Lacquer Channel on a couple of records with Phil Demetrio, who's really fucking amazing. I've got a chance to work with Malware Applebaum on a Queensryche track. That was really fucking cool as well. Super cool stuff. It's a bit of a dark art, but for the most of us out there doing top-down mastering, throw an L3 across your mix bus and a little bit of an SSL bus compressor and mix that way, you're gonna get about 98% of the way there.
What interface would you recommend with a budget of $100? If any, would you recommend Spectre?
Well, I would recommend getting another $100 and probably getting a Focusrite or better yet, an Audient interface. Even a one-channel Audient is going to be pretty fucking stellar. Should be about $150. You know what? I'll put a link in the description below. You can check it out. I definitely recommend that. And when I get back to Canada in March, I'm going to be checking out a bunch of budget interfaces, and we'll weigh sound versus features, all that kind of thing, and just see what works the best.
Now that amp modelers are popular, will it affect the way newer guitarists hear guitar tones? I like the way modelers sound, but I also like hearing an amp through a 4x12 too, even though there is clearly a big difference in tone.
I asked myself that question a lot. I mean, kids coming up on amp sims are really used to hearing amp sims, and when you play them a real amp, they might not like it. Same thing with drums. I get a lot, your drum mixes suck. Really? My drum mixes suck? Or are you just so brought up on artificial bullshit you don't know what the real thing sounds like even when it's well recorded? I need to do a video on, serious drum recordings to check out in hard rock and metal before samples ever came along, just kind of as a jumping off point for those of you guys who are getting into recording drums, so you can hear what great drum recordings sound like without any of the bullshit. Again, I keep coming back to records like British Steel, Peace of Mind, and of course, Rush 2112. Very sad that we lost Neil Peart there a couple weeks ago, kind of bummed about that. He was definitely one of the greats, and it's a real loss for music in general. Sucks, but that's what it is, unfortunately. All right, everybody, that's it for this episode. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Make sure you join my Discord so you can get information on mixes. You can get some feedback there. There's a really cool community growing on there, and it's just dedicated to helping each other out and get better mixes and get better recordings and all that cool stuff. It's a lot of fun. And it's absolutely free, so follow the link in the description below. And don't forget to check out the 70,000 Tons of Metal website. It is just absolutely fucking amazing. I'm so glad I went. I had such a blast. So until next time, I bid you best of luck. Have a wonderful weekend, and get out there and make some metal, you awesome motherfuckers.